Hello, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful, beautiful evening with us um, here on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, Lloyd Strayhorn. As you see, I have a most exciting guest that's going to be on in just a moment. She's out of California, so she's a West Coast person. We're going to get a little background on her, what she does, but she is a wellness practitioner and she is into love big time. So, with her first name being Love, that makes sense to me. Before we start, though, I want to let you know that this week's show is being sponsored by the R Spot Relationship Intensive. It's facilitated by Iana Van Zant. It's this Saturday, March the 11th from 10 to 7 p.m. Learn how to grow, heal, and transform any relationship at the R Spot Intensive. I encourage all of you. This is male and females, and the nice thing about it, it is virtual, so you don't have to get out; just have to get up and tune in and begin to. It's about healing relationships, and actually, nobody does it better than her. If you've seen her on OWN and other things before this, the lectures she gives, you can tell she is the most supreme expert when it comes to relationships. So again, the show is sponsored by the R Spot Relationship Intensive by Sister Iyanla Van Zant this Saturday, March the 11th from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., excuse me. And it's about learning how to grow, to heal, to transform any relationship, which is not easy, but she can do it at the R Spot Intensive. So without further ado, I want to do the forecast for today. As you know, the cosmic forecast. Oh, please like, share, subscribe. Thank you very much. It's Monday, March the 6th of 2023. The sun is in Pisces. The moon is in Virgo. I got all this right today. I checked. Okay. It's a 1 universal month, a 2 universal week, a 7 universal day. So if you happen to be a Cancer or Pisces or Taurus or Libra, or if you're born on the 6th or the 7th, the 15th or the 16th, the 24th or the 25th of any month, this day should prove important to you in some way, shape, or form. So now that I've got that out the way, without further ado, I want to bring on my very, very special guest. Her name is Love Rainey. Let me get this straight here. All right. Okay, here I am. Now, here we are. Hey, how you doing, Love?
I am doing fantastic, Lloyd. How are you?
Fine, fine, thank you. And let me tell you how I met this young lady. She called me for a consultation, if memory serves me correct.
That is
And we got
correct.
to talking. And rarely do I ask people what do they do, but in this case, I asked her what she did. And when she explained it to me, the thing that came out of my mouth is, would you like to be a guest on my show? Because I'm always looking for other people to bring other dynamics to my show for the interviewers to raise their consciousness. Tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, what part of California are you in?
I am in Los Angeles. Shout
Oh
out to
boy.
LA.
So you're a part of it. Were you born there?
I was born and raised.
So
Yes,
you
born and
are
raised.
naturally organic. You're not imported
I
from New
no,
York.
I am an organic Angelino. Yeah, I'm really and I'm very excited about it. I love representing LA because most times folks will say, "Where are you from?" And I say LA. They say, "You can't be." And I'm like, if you usually talk to people who are from LA, we're
Hmm.
pretty awesome. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, we're
What?
pretty awesome.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what you do that led up to this point that you are a wellness practitioner.
Definitely. One, I just want to say thank you so much for having me on. It was
My
such an
pleasure.
honor.
My pleasure.
Just when you offered the invitation, I actually once I got off the phone with you, I went outside and just screamed uh, because for me, when you can run into what you've been putting out there, it brings that awe and that joy.
Yeah.
But fast forward, yeah. So how I got to this point. So I started off as a personal trainer in 2003. I'm dating myself right now.
That's all right.
I've always been into sports and fitness. I am an athlete. I was going to say an ex-athlete, but once an athlete, always an athlete.
In what field of athleticism? Track and
I
field,
was
swimming?
I started off track and field. So I started off track and field when I was young. my mom actually took me to the doctor, and they wanted to put me. They diagnosed me as ADHD, and my grandmother said, "Don't you give that child, don't you give that baby no
Amen.
medicine.
I
You
see
put her
nothing like
into a
your own
sport
story.
and watch her be tired." And so, being that both my parents ran track, they both put me in track. So I ran for the LA Jets, Quicksilver. I mean, track is definitely my first love. Then my stepfather, took me to the park when I was in ninth grade. We started
Mhm.
playing basketball, and then he came home and told my mom, "Hey, she's pretty good," and got me on a team. And so basketball has been, I like to say, my blessing ship that
Mhm.
has opened up so many doors and opportunities and brought me right to this point. So I've played high school basketball. Shout out to Crenshaw Cougars during our span of championships. And I went to St. John's and got a scholarship
University,
there.
right? That's St. John's
Yeah,
University. Yeah.
St. John's University in New
Yeah.
York.
Okay.
Big East. Well, yes, they're still the Big East, but when the Big East had all of the heavy
Yeah.
hitters in it,
Yeah.
and so I've been around sports all my life. I'm pretty well equipped, but when I got out, I graduated and I wanted to personal train. I wanted to help folks get in shape, and so my first job was at Bally's, and right away I noticed that we were selling product and selling image. Now that was way back then, but I kept on with it. And for me, it just really went against how I came up and thought about health and wellness and
Hmm.
what I was out there selling. So I slowly started to just integrate more. So I took yoga and I got into spiritual practice. I got at Agape Spiritual International Spiritual Center, and just started pouring into my own life. And this is when initially the name was the Art of Balance, emerged from, because I realized really quickly that we were selling product and selling images, but not really teaching and giving folks the tools that they need to fish for themselves.
That's
And
interesting. That's very
I
interesting.
wasn't raised that way, and so for me, each one teach one.
Hmm.
And so, being that I've been in sports and fitness all my life, I'm drawn to it. I am always looking for new ways that I can support my community through fitness, meditation, balance, footwork, and spiritual coaching. And this is how we arrived here, Balance with Love. I wanted to offer a more well balanced, different ways that we can, a three-prong approach: skills, strength, and surrender. Really, and when you think about Balance with Love, this holistic way that we get a chance to approach our lives, so that we are strong enough and remember in the process that we can do hard things. And
When you say surrender, people think you mean weak. I don't think
it,
you're coming from that approach. That's my feeling. Can you explain that?
oh, yes, definitely. In my own life, suffering from depression, um,
Hmm.
it, it, it this is also what has birthed Balance with Love. A lot of the tools that I share are things that I use in my own for my own self. I like to tell my clients to put on a weightless backpack, and the tools that you'll gain along the way with your experiences, put them in there, because along your path, along your journey, I guarantee you will be pulling them out. And so surrender for me has been probably the most powerful tool, because the reason why I even called you to get a reading is because 2020, before the panini, aka the pandemic,
Hmm.
I had just been kind of ignoring the call, right, in different ways that things have been showing up in my life. But for me, I didn't necessarily want to surrender. And what that meant for me was give up my weekends, or, do I really want to invest in this thing 100%? Or, what? I just don't want to do it, because growing up Kojic, Church of God in Christ, I didn't want to become a preacher or just this person that's always telling folks what to do.
Right.
And fast forward, I had no choice, because life will either give you an opportunity to do it on your own, or it will force you to answer the call,
Yeah.
no matter what. And so the biggest tool I've had, that I've been using, is to surrender what has been coming up for me personally, which brought me to this point of just putting myself out there, putting myself in the way, putting myself out there in the sense of saying, hey, y'all, I have some great tools that I've used in my own personal life, and I would love to share them with you. And guess what? I like to say I'm pretty good at what I do. I've been doing this
Are
since
you on the show?
2003. Yeah, and that part I had to learn to accept, right? To surrender. I had to surrender that God has given me personally some gifts that I've been trying to stuff down and ignore for a long time, Lloyd.
Do you think it's our
And
ego that causes us to not want to surrender? What do you think?
I have to say, one, I would dare not speak for and make a sweeping generalization. But for me personally, I think growing up in a very strict religious family and a very prestige at that, my grandfather being a bishop of California, my grandmother, I think for me, because I went to church once 6 days a week, and that's if
Yeah,
okay.
no, I know, believe me.
YPWW, Women's Circle, choir practice, I mean, Bible study, you name it. But I never wanted to, one thing that I resented initially about religion or kind of despised was the fact that people just kind of whipped it across your head, and you're going to do it this way. It's like either this way or no way. And so for me, I think I've always been, it was initially triggering before therapy
Hmm.
to think that I'm preaching to someone. And finally, once I surrendered to, hey, these are some gifts, some beautiful gifts that I really, really am excited about sharing and being a part of people winning, putting myself out there into surrendering is to say, I am so strong that I'm soft enough, that I'm supple enough, that I am able to be open and receptive to receive because I'm a great giver, but I had to learn to receive. And most of us, some of us, we're really good at giving. We're extremely nurturing, but uh, we kind of suck at receiving.
Yeah,
What is ours to share, right?
yeah,
What is
yeah.
our gifts here that we are meant to share on earth? And I can say that's where balance with love coming. We support you to find that through
Question.
different modalities.
When you have when a person comes to you, how do they start out? Does it depend on their state of their physical well-being? Like for example, you might have a person that has limited mobility. You might have another person where obesity is a challenge with the weight or other issues. How do you start? Or do you kind of get into them? Do you question them to kind of get a backstory to help connect the dots as to why they may be in that situation when it comes to you?
Of course, we do something what I call a discovery call, because we want to rediscover what you are wanting to dissolve or bring up, and then in that discovery call, I'm able to get an idea of what's really coming up. Sometimes folks may come to me and say, "I want to lose." This is a classic one. I want to lose 20 pounds. Just right here, though.
Oh, they even got the area designated, right?
Yeah. And I go with it, but you know, just with my skills and expertise and practice and really honing into that place of what I'm really hearing is this, or what I'm really hearing is that. And from that discovery call, then I give recommendations. Also, I think what I do well, and also what I see you do well, Lloyd, is stay in your lane. I keep it within the scope of the practice. Meaning, if it's something that's outside of my scope, I refer you out to other healers and folks that could really support you in ways that just exceed my capacity on it.
Mhm.
But in particular, most times it's weight loss. I do a lot of balancing work within the body. A lot of times, folks don't really focus on balance until they've gotten to an age where balance has kind of shown up in their life because of the imbalances.
When you say balance, right now we when people are walking or whatnot, they take it for granted. But for example, there's been many cases where the elders of the communities will often fall, break a hip, or something that leads them to get hip surgery. What is it about the balance as people get older? Or is it kind of varies with ages, but even more so as you get older, you think?
Well, I'm a bust that myth. Just because you're aging or getting older does not equal, that you now have to become out of balance. No, it's something that, like with all things, you work on it now. And a lot of times it's just not something that we focus on in our culture, right? We build the muscle, but we lack to build the balance, right? That's doing things that helps to keep our center of gravity, right? Our spine. So doing things left and right, stepping on one foot or stepping off one right, just different ways you can challenge the body with balance helps you create that muscle memory. So as you get older, when you fall, you learn to fall, and you learn that through different movements that you can do, preferably barefoot, right? There's different moves that you can do that help to pad in the fall. Um, and that's why we focus a lot on balance now, right? You can start at any age, but I like to tell folks, even young folks. I mean, I do some wellness work with some collegiate athletes, and we focus a lot on that, because it's just really simple. If you don't use it, you will lose it. So just like we work at all things, balance is something that we can incorporate in really small increments that really will make uh, a power move in your life. I mean, because just small things that we do, I tell folks all the time, the most classic one is when you reach to turn over and get something out your back seat, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, if you just kind of reach, you can throw your back out of balance. I mean, you can really put yourself in a complicated situation. But when you can create that awareness and do balance work, automatically there's an awareness that starts to develop through the work you do, that creates this awareness around all natural movements that we do in our everyday lives. So,
Does balance have something to do also with back concerns? I have a client, they said their back went out of whack and that they literally had to crawl from where their back fell out, crawl across their living room to call EMS to come and take them to get them straight. So
well,
balance
definitely
has
there.
something to do with it too?
It definitely. I mean, in this person's case, it could be a whole thing, lifestyle of things, right? But balance definitely helps and supports with back problems. I mean, a lot of times, most of us don't work on the balance, which heavily incorporates your core, and not just your core. We're talking about our 360, just the way that we've been able to just stand upright. That balance and work that is happening and taking place is something we should be working on daily.
For those who don't understand, when you mean core, for those who may not be familiar with core as you and I, what does that mean to the layperson?
So usually, sometimes, of course, everyone sees there. Everyone wants a hot girl summer, or summer where they can really show off their abs or six packs and really show.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and most times we associate that with just being the core, but our core, that's just, it's a part of it consists of, but it consists of our back muscles,
Mm-hmm.
our obliques, and then our core. So it wraps around totally fully all the way around the body, just from the, like say, the middle mid parts of our ribs all the way down and even to the hips. So
Hmm.
we like to work on this so-called core as much as you can, that it gets involved in just normal movements. So when you're just living through daily lives, because like you mentioned about the elderly,
Mm-hmm.
most times when they fall or people have, it's an accident, it's usually doing something like picking the groceries up, going up the stairs, or tripped over something really small in the cement. I mean, the stories that I hear, I'm like, this could happen to any of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the more work we can do with that, it could just help support your daily movements.
When you say 360, now what does that mean?
100% around. Okay. Imagine, like,
Yeah, yeah,
when you
but
go to the, when you go, imagine this right here. When we do core work, when you do balance work, imagine when you go to the airport, what comes up for me visually is when you go to the airport, you go through security and they have you put your hands up. There's this machine that wraps around the whole body.
yeah,
Okay, because
yeah.
I don't want to get too technical for those, but that machine that wraps around, they are taking a picture 360 of your whole body. Okay, our core, imagine, is exactly the work we're doing. Okay, and even with balance, it also is our foundational movements, right? Through our feet. We're talking about 4 layers of muscle, 26 bones, 9 articulations that is happening at the bottom. So if you're able to stand, just doing the work from there supports our lower back, supports the core. Everything is integrated, and that's really what we focus on, is integration and really highlighting the connection that is taking place in the whole body with your body, your mind, and your spirit. Also, what are you thinking while we're doing all this physical work? Could really contribute to how you show up.
Well, now I see why you call it balance with love. Okay, now I got it. Now I see why. And when you look at her banner, it's balance with love, love this, love that. Love is her first name. So it's obviously where you coming from with love. And love is a healing force too. I don't think people realize the power of love and its healing factor.
I'm sorry, can you say that again and say it louder for those in the
I
back?
don't think that people know the power of love.
Mhm.
Love is more powerful than hate. Seriously. Love when a person is in love, that kind of romantic love, that is powerful. But love in a humane sense, love of giving, caring, and sharing, that's like the power of love is awesome. And I guess that's why they
It,
want everybody at each other's throat, so people don't understand the power of love and its healing effect on people.
I mean, it's huge, Lloyd. I mean, and I even like to say hate is the opposite of love, right? It's on the spectrum. It's the hate of something usually is the love of that. Like I love to hate that thing. It
Oh,
runs
that's when
deep.
the love comes in. They love to hate you, right?
Exactly. I was like, and initially, to be honest, I used to be extremely private about how much I care and how much I love. But for me, as I said, growing up, one of the and I'm not extremely Bible versed, but one of the scriptures that has always stood out to me is First Corinthians, or above all these you can have with joy, um, hate, or another, but above all this, love.
Yeah, yeah. Love is
Above
the
all
essence.
this, yeah,
Yeah,
and I
because
think
we would
love.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me let you
I'm
finish it.
saying love saved my life personally, and it's that self love. That
Yeah.
that love, that knowing that God loves me, that universal love, this unconditional, this natural validation that's taken place, has saved my life.
Speaking of that, how can a person go about learning the lessons of self-love? Because it sometimes it will take people a long time to love themselves. I know that was a challenge in my early stages of life. And it's not that I hated myself. I
Hmm.
just felt that I didn't have whatever it is to feel whole or love or call it what you will. Now at this point in my life, I wouldn't trade me for all the tea in China, all the people in the world, all the money. I would not trade me for one iota. But it took me a while to get here, though. I'm not going front. It did.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still learning how to love me. I love to say this. It's not a finish line. This life there is no finish line. Every time you start so-called over, it's just a new starting point. We never start over. We never bring anything back. Through all of our experiences, I mean, hopefully, one, just get some support as much as you can, right? Therapy, a community, which is
Hmm.
what I love to say that we're doing here at Balance with Love. Being in a community can be such a friendly reminder to how much your existence matters, how important you are to this equation. And uh, as simple as it is, but to love thyself, you're talking about years of one personal trauma, and then a culture that just don't really promote it, right? I mean, our self love is finding the new thing that is always outside of ourselves.
Yeah, the new item, the new gadget or whatever. And we love that, but I don't like you. That's interesting.
That's extremely interesting. And I heard you say before on another one of your shows is when you start to learn to love yourself, how you know that you're on the right path, if that's a thing, is the love that you have for others, even when you look at them, the way you see them without even saying, there's a sense of compassion, just kind of like a real gentle of, wow, I see that person,
Hmm.
right? You begin to live in a friendly universe. My starting point when I leave out is not like, oh man, I got to do this today. I've really learned to love myself and realize the truth is I get to do this today. That's an act of self
That's a whole
love.
different approach too.
That's a entirely huge different approach. You know, if you knew that you got to do it today, got to love, got an opportunity to be more of this place, and it's not for everyone. You know, let me say that. You know, I understand that. My head is not in the sand. You know, it's not an airy fairy. There's a lot of ill things happening
Yeah,
on the planet. I've heard
yeah,
you talk about it before. I'm not going to speak too much on it.
yeah,
I'm just going
yeah.
to. I've decided to live it. Right. This is realizing that my existence matters. And so the ways that I would kind of stuff my self loving, which is show my expression, show, be vulnerable, surrender.
But see, again, that is seen as a sign of weakness. That's, you know,
It,
that's just so contradictory. It's
it is. It
counterintuitive.
is. It's a fine line. And Lloyd, you know, I've chosen just in my personal life and also choose as a tool. Why don't we just try it? Because just as hate is consistent, you know, just as this distraction is consistent, it's in our face 24/7. It doesn't stop. If you're a person that never really got out in the world, you would think that just according to whatever you're watching, this is how people actually are. And
Hmm.
the truth is, we're way more than that, right? And if you don't believe it, just think in your look, just be in your everyday life. Just see if you can just for one moment kind of see what bumping into the way that folks are learning to love themselves right now. I think this is a special time because we are learning how to love ourselves.
Well, we better learn for our own sake and our own well-being and personal happiness. Because my whole
Yes.
attitude is I tell people you can run from everybody, but you cannot run from yourself. That's the
Yes.
only person you can escape from. And
Yes.
I need to ask before we turn it over to some of the comments, what are some of the common questions that people have for you when they come to see you? Like you said, I want to lose 20 pounds, but right over here, you know, they're going to tell you exactly where the area is. What are some of the common questions, or have you found any of them challenging, or whatever the case is?
I would say the biggest challenge for me is to because folks are like, "Hey, I'm ready to do this. Let's get down to work." And when we say work, it's just that it is hard work. And the hardest part for me has been to really be upfront about it. And you
Hmm.
know, as Buddha said, once you've learned about the truth, it won't rest until you've discovered it. And a lot of times when you're doing this work, it's a lot of self work, right? So I mean, you're going to be looking at yourself and seeing things about yourself that it's going to be challenging and hard to swallow.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I can
You know, so
imagine.
I would say the what the most challenging would say I would say folks understand that it takes time. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't want to say, you know, in 6 easy steps you will be able to do this.
No, but that's
I'm
how
not.
this world is. Everything
Mm-mm.
is instant gratification. Just say water. I ain't got to put in the work. I just press it, right out. You know what I'm saying? And that's not quite how life really organically works.
Yes, yes, and
Not.
so I want to encourage and inspire to say we can do hard things. We can do hard things, but it takes some skill. It takes some strength, and it takes a lot of surrender.
There's that favorite word of yours again. Okay.
It's our lining right now.
Yeah,
It's what's
yeah.
coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm going to look at some of the comments. Now, I know folks want to do readings. That's not going to happen today because it's about your wellness. Oh, here's somebody right here. They says, this is from K Sharp. I'm struggling with losing weight. They had a trainer, follow nutrition plan, still no results. How can they stay motivated? Excellent question, K Sharp.
Yeah, K Sharp, it is a very excellent question. And I know it's going to seem lame, but keep going. Keep going. I would say, you know, go even deeper in your practice. You know, what are you eating? What are you thinking? Journaling. I mean, there's so many ways. Like I like to say, do your own guesswork. Do your own kind of like your own evaluation on self. It's a really broad question to answer and say, hey, do this. But as far as the motivation, here it is. There's no finish line. Do it anyway. Is it hard AF? Yes. But guess what? There's folks like myself that, hey, tap into my IG that we are out here in community supporting each other,
Hmm.
because all you can do is what you can do without it, broad. All you can do is what you can do, but stay consistent. Stay consistent. This is, as Lloyd and I are speaking, doing it for 6 weeks or 7 weeks and then looking for results. Sometimes I like to say, just do it without even looking for what needs to pay off. Just
Yeah.
participate in that unfolding. And over time, you look up and be like, wow, I didn't even realize, because you're not looking for it. Just make it a part of your life. And it sounds easy. It ain't.
No, no.
I'm telling
Not
you,
when you
K
really put
Sharp, it's
into
it's
it.
not. But remind yourself, I'm here to remind you, you can do hard things, and together we will, and stay consistent. Remember that three prong,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
skill,
yeah.
strength,
And
surrender,
surrender. It's
surrender.
interesting. There, I've, majority of my clientele are women when it comes to weight, right? There's a
Mm-hmm.
there's a group of women who want to jump on the scale every day.
Mm.
And then they'll say they want to lose 20 pounds, but the 15 pounds have gone, but that last 5 pounds just says, I'm not going nowhere. All right. Then there's another group of women I noticed where they don't get on the scale every day. They look at a dress that was to die for when they wore it well. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like they take that dress out and says, you know what, I'm coming back for you. And those are the ones that tend to do better than those. Because to me, the way I explain it, when a woman gets on a scale every day, then she'll be on a monthly cycle. Then there's that bloating. So the weight to me, I'm not a woman. I'm just in theory with this part.
Mm-hmm.
With the bloating to thing, the weight will fluctuate. So they might get discouraged or whatever the case is. So what has been your experience about losing weight? What's the best way you tell them to approach the weight?
Just it's we're on the same wavelength, just like you. Find something that you may want to fit into. Because you're right, the weight does fluctuate, and the scale numbers. They say, like, as a numerologist, numbers don't lie,
That's
right?
true.
But that weight scale is lying. It doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell the whole picture. So I usually, when I do weight, I keep the weight to myself. I don't even share it with clients, because we're not chasing weight loss in that way. We want to chase health gained. We want to stay away from the losses, stay in the lessons and stay in the gains.
I like that. I like. In other words, redirect your focus.
Because if we're talking about a lifestyle, if that means it's taking 2 years, oh, that's such a long time. 2 years is going to pass regardless. So why not be intentional about this? Do some things that you can do that's hard, and guess what? It'll pay off.
The
Consistency will
harder
pay
actually
off.
gets easier. It's like anything you first start is challenging, but then
Hmm.
you can almost do it blindfold. You know what I'm
It
saying?
just
Automatic.
exactly, as a master mind, you understand. Just keep showing up.
Yeah, you got to be
It
consistent.
just keep showing up. When you're like, this ain't, keep showing up. When it's like, oh my God, I'm thankful that it happened. Keep showing up. When you
And
like, I
even
can
on
just
those
knock them
days
out.
when you don't feel like doing it,
Oh, that's when you really got to do it. Because you
that's such
don't
a
feel like doing it. That's when you really have to do it. And sometimes that doing can be nothing, right? It can be resting. I'm real big on restorative practices. Sometimes that can just knowing when to say no. Complete sentence.
What about naps? Believe it or not,
Oh,
to be
I
able to
definitely.
give your body a break, because I know that if you look at children from daycare centers, the teachers will take them out to the park, let them run around, then they bring them back, and then they all got to take a nap. Well, they ain't doing squat compared to what adults got to do every day. So shouldn't adults at least learn how to get into naps, because they do it in other countries? Siesta
Oh,
just goes down to town for a couple of hours. You know what I'm saying? There's no
yes.
activities. It gives a person almost time to breathe.
I am an advocate of naps. Shout out to the nap ministry. You know, the nap ministry. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, all our days differ, but if you can take time to do nothing, I mean, it just helps to restore. You know what, Lloyd? I'm about to lose power. Can you give me about 2 minutes and let me
Yes, yes,
restructure
yes.
this?
Please do.
Okay.
Please do.
All right.
All right, everybody, I want to thank you very much. As you see, we have our very special guest, Love Moore. She is an expert on wellness as a practitioner. And I'm glad, Kay, that we answered your question. And I've got some more questions coming up too. Um, well, while she's getting that together, let me go back one second. I will read. Well, this is a person that made a donation. SR, they didn't give a birthday, but thank you, thank you. Now, here's my buddy from Chicago, brother Mr. and Mrs. Steve Williams. They have been supporting me really since day one. And so let me say this again, if you can't make a donation, which is what I'm not looking for, you know what I am looking for from what the staff tells me? Like, share, and subscribe. If you can do that for me, I don't have to hear them talking to me later on. Okay. So I'm busy. I've got a lot on my mind. I've got a lot on my plate because of bunch of things. So please, if possible, no, it's easy. It's free. It doesn't cost nothing but one stroke of the stringer to press the button on there to like, share, and subscribe. All righty. So thanks very much, Steve, for that. Let me go back. Somebody had said something, and I will do Donisha just in this case until she gets back with it. She said they would love a reading. Her birthday is 2/22/85, which means her birthday was last month. Partners is born on May 31st. Well, first of all, this is a Pisces and a Gemini. They're both number fours. One is born on the 22nd. 2 plus 2 is 4. The other one is born on the 31st. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I would say what is y'all would understand each other. For you, Denisha, you're in a 7, no, excuse me, a 4 personal year. For your mate, he is in a 7 personal year, and 4s and 7s are very similar. They're very reserved, they're very low key, they like to stay under the radar. So it means it's going to be a kind of quiet, reflective year for you. All right, so let me get back. My lovely guest has come back, and let me see something here. I had something somebody had. Hold on, I'm just. Where was that? She had an interesting question. She was highly motivated, and oh, I got to go back the other way. Okay, let me see here. Hold it. You're back with us. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you very well. And
Okay.
Teresa
Perfect.
Jobson says, it helps me stay in a positive mindset. And she says she is part of the NAP ministry. So am I. And I learned that from my cats. I've had 2 cats over time. And most people don't know cats will sleep more in the daytime, more day than they do. So then I
Mm-hmm.
understood the word cat nap. I said, oh, that's where that word comes from. So, I mean, there's so many things that's obvious in your face you don't think about until you maybe own a cat. And I used to think all cat owners was corny. I apologize since then, since I would go get my cat food, I go get this and the litter and whatever. Now, here's this. This person, Professor Reed, says they're wondering about recommendations for night routines. They are super motivated during the day, exercising, eating well, but seem to spiral and lose their focus with eating at night. Maybe eating at night is the clue, especially if it's heavy eating. And it says an issue since college. What would you say to Professor Reed in this case?
I say, Professor Reed, just hearing about it, seemed like you work crazy hours, you know. So it would be honestly a question we maybe talk offline because we would really have to get into what your day looks like.
Okay, that
Because
makes sense.
yeah, usually a sign of when you have that eating at night, like Lloyd said, one that can present a huge issue before you go into bed, and especially if you're only sleeping 3 to 4 hours or 5 hours. So there could be a multiple of things. Um, but depending on what time your day starts, I mean, it looks like you are getting, exercise and eating well, seeing a spiral.
During
So,
the day, but it's that
hmm
nighttime when he goes
hmm
on the other side of the day that he seemed to have challenges.
yeah.
Maybe instead of eating a heavy meal and laying on it because it's going to lay on him, okay?
Mhm.
Maybe they would do well just having just a small portion or whatever. I was told sometimes you should, if you're going to eat put it on a smaller plate. It'll give you a psychological sense that you know you ate it and you're full. You know.
Also, what I'm curious about too is when you say it's been going since college, and being said like professor, that means you've gotten used to like working long hours and long nights. So I would even personally go even deeper. Like, what else is coming up for you? This is, I think, the work where we go a little deeper than
Mm-hmm.
just when you're
Mm-hmm.
eating or exercising.
Mm-hmm.
You could be doing all those things really well, but what's coming up is there's something in your patterning that is off. And our job is to map it out to see, this is what's showing up. Maybe you get really stressed during this certain time, and it's been since college because you have a big test. I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many things, but really, this is where we talk about our discovery is saying, hey, you know what? It doesn't seem like you're eating then, or you're exercising is the problem.
Right.
And that's the holistic approach.
So that's the
Well,
whole approach for your discovery approach.
exactly, because there's so much science that supports this. You could be eating well and exercising well and still, not getting the results that's desired. And there's just so many other things that's connected to it that there's now starting to acknowledge, right? It's always been known, but we all know now that, everything, all parts, all systems, our mind, body, spirit, all that works together. And you show up as this,
Yeah, we're all
yes,
connected.
we are what we eat, yes, but we're so much more. We're ingesting all day. We're taking in a lot. And so this is where the discovery goes, because now I'm really interested, Professor Rena. Let's get into the back to the noise. What else? Something else is
That's
you know
interesting. But see,
that's
that is
important
a
pattern.
result of your experience and expertise of doing what you do. To know that
Hmm.
what is said may be different than what is underneath what is said, which is a big difference. It's like reading
It's
between the
huge.
lines, so to speak. Now, look into
Yeah.
thine eyes says, what is the imbalance or problems occurring when one can't gain weight at almost 40 and has had children? Maybe it's just her cosmic DNA.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Everybody will gain weight. She's lucky.
This is
You can have a
also what
woman
I'm.
with one baby and she just blows up and never returns.
Exactly. This is where I have to say, look into thine eyes. That's above me. That's out of my scope. I definitely, would say I would consult your physician, your holistic practitioner of medicinal, because that could be a gene thing. That may be a little bit out of what my scope,
Okay,
and that's
well,
why I would refer you out for sure.
now this is another one I think that Kay Sharp had posed again. She said she's struggling with losing weight. She's had a trainer. She's followed the nutrition plan and still has no results. How can she stay motivated? I think that's a good question.
Yeah, this is the one we were just speaking with before with K Sharp.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
but I think she put it another way. I think because of okay.
I'm
Um,
struggling with
well,
losing weight.
here's what Look into thine eyes says. She says, I'm loving this. Self-love is the most important. Can't give what isn't inside. Never trust a naked person that offers you, you know what. Okay. Dr. Maya Angelou. That sounds just like her Aries self. Okay. Aries don't play. So let's see. Let's see. Right now, I want to thank everybody for the likes. I also want to thank my moderator, Jackie, who's doing a good job. And so anyway, let me see. Somebody said blessing to you both. Let me go back to the other end of the scale. Oh, somebody says, Professor Reed, I'm glad you asked that question. They're going through something similar.
Hmm.
And in fact, one of the challenges in this nation is sleep deprivation,
Can we talk about it?
which is why
Can
I
we
get
talk about
naps
it?
to make
Can
up
we
for
talk
when I
about
can't
it?
sleep. And I also meditate. I've learned how to actually sleep, nap, and meditate. And that seems to compensate sometime my busy schedule of staying up late.
I mean, it's a blessing and a curse that we're here, right? Because like we're now having to bring in tools that was naturally a part of our systems, right? And that's to slow down, to take time, to be out of time. And we've sped up so much that a lot of us are having a hard time keeping up. right? Because our lives have gotten busier, but I don't think they've gotten more productive.
That's interesting. Do you think it's so much because of distractions? Now everybody seem to have their face turned to their phones, their tablets, their computers. The TV is such a constant deluge of stuff that people now. I'm talking about young people having what they call brain fog.
Hmm.
So it's no longer restricted to the elderly like it used to be. But young people can't. They'll get up, go into from the living room into the bedroom, and try to figure out why they went in there, and they got to go back out to remember why they went in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious.
No, I'm trying. As Ayana said, I'm trying to say, how can I word this without getting canceled, so to speak? Because you hit it on the nose. You hit it on the nose actually a couple of weeks ago. Is we got to turn the distractions down and turn our insights up.
Whoa,
And
excuse me. Can you say that one more time for the choir too?
we've got to turn our distractions down and turn our insights. We got to turn within. And I usually would never, I'm going outside of my own comfort zone right now because this is something, again, I will hide that, hey, y'all, I'm a firm believer that if you're not being aware and conscious of your narrative, someone else is writing your narrative. If you don't believe me, just sit back and watch how your day will jump from here to here to here to here. So all of a sudden, you realize some could say, "I'm bored. My life is unexciting.
Yeah, I hear
Things
that a
just
lot
suck."
now.
And I'm not saying things don't suck, but if you're not participating in that unfolding, then I mean the AI that's writing your narrative is intended for it to be just that mundane and low frequency. We're moving to a high tech, low touch society, and I really love a high touch because when we can empower ourselves and be creative, and yes, get all the support you need. This is not a I can do it all things by myself. No, this is we can do it together. Reminding each other that we can do it, but we have to do it because it's not only for us but our future generations.
Yeah,
Those who have come before me did it when it was illegal, and now it's legal, and we just kind of not really taking advantage of what's in front of us. And again, this brings it back to this skill, strength, and surrender. If you can approach it like that, we're more dynamic. But turn the TV off as much as you can,
like I haven't watched TV in months, literally.
as much as you can. I mean, there's some good shows out there, but I love to say on today's program, take that in for a second.
Hmm.
On today's program, we're hardware constantly downloading software. Things are always we're taking it in, and the more we can slow down and do this, it just allows us to show up a lot more powerful in our own lives. And that's really the work. It's not about me giving you the power, Lloyd. You have everything you need within you.
And yourself, yes, we do. Yes, we
May
do.
balance with love be the reminder, be the mirror that
Yeah,
hey, you got this. I'm
yeah.
telling you, you do.
So if you ever
I'm
hear me use
telling you,
your
you
quote
do.
on my show, you know where I got it from. Okay, love,
Hey, you inspire me. Uh,
surrender.
Surrender. May we do that.
You see, I
Empower.
seem to understand it in the context for what it means and not a sign of weakness or you know what I'm saying? But to
Mhm.
kind of let go, to put your ego aside and you know what I'm saying? And it ain't that serious. That's how I say it. It ain't that serious.
It ain't.
Right?
I
No.
love to say that. Michael Beckler says that all the time. Ain't nothing serious happening on this planet. I mean, and that can rub people the wrong way, right? Because there are so many issues that are present. I'm
Yeah.
not
That's
denying
the
that.
difference. That's the difference.
That
The issues.
the issues are present, but nothing serious is happening. Life is the ebb and flow. It's just constantly giving, constantly receiving. There's this flow. Uh, my my mom used to say, "Blessed are the flexible, for they should never get bent out of shape."
That makes a lot of sense too.
So the
Yeah.
more flexible, the more we can surrender, the more supple we can come through our work too, in our body, in our spirit, and in our mind. It empowers us and it reminds us that we can do hard things. We can do hard things, and together we will.
Well,
for
I want
sure.
to take a moment because I know people are chopping at the bits of how can they get in touch with you. Okay. So
Okay.
there it is right on the screen. You see that Sister Love Rainey. She's a wellness practitioner. Her contact number is 415-849-1179. Her email is balancewithlove@gmail.com. Her IG is Balance with Love. Her website is, at least you're consistent, balancewithlove.com. And your Venmo is Love More at All Is Love. What's up with you? You know, some people can't sleep. You're giving up too much love up in this space, okay? What's
You
up?
know what, Lloyd? Thank God I have embraced who I am because I am here with it. I am coming with the love, and I'm gonna look crazy
How
and
you gonna go wrong with
deranged.
the love? I don't understand
Hey,
that.
I've decided to embrace it, and really, it's the foundation and the fuel, like
Well,
for
you see,
real.
you embraced it very, very well.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
I
And
got a
so I
deeper
think
love.
it's nice. So for those of you who want to know now, although she's on, by the way, do you do consultation by Zoom for people on the East Coast that can't get you on the West
Oh,
Coast?
we do international. Yeah, I mean, this is such a perfect time because I've had opportunity to rebrand. My website goes live today with you, Lloyd, with your listeners, with those
All
of you
right.
out there.
Now
Yeah,
y'all
you are
support the
seeing.
sister, okay? Support Love Rainey. It goes live what time? You're in California time, so it's
It,
almost
it went live at 4 PST, 7 o'clock your time. As soon as we started, I decided to launch it live. And
wow.
just really quick, this is an opportunity for me to be vulnerable. I wanted to do this because just how I wanted to let you know that I practice what I preach. For me to be on Lloyd, for me to put myself out here, for me to do a website, is going all outside of my comfort zone. But
The
after my
queen
reading,
bee.
all of everything, because I'm more of a person behind the scenes. I'm more of I would go buy the bar out, and folks would know who bought the bar out. They just know they had a really good time. You know. So when I met with Lloyd, and Lloyd was like, "Hold on, let me give you your numbers." And wow, you have the numbers of Desmond Tutu, Louis Farrakhan, Jesus the Christ, Buddha. Start naming all these names, and which are inspirational and really powerful in our culture.
And not knowing you spend a lot of time in church too, okay?
6 days a week, Lloyd. Okay, 8 years plus. I'm grateful for it, by the way. So I just want to say, hey, I'm reminding you all, I'm reminding myself that we can do hard things, and with skill, with strength, and with sweet, sweet, sweet surrender, we get a chance to participate in our own unfolding. So right now, I'm participating in my own unfolding, being on Lloyd's show, being out here saying, hey, how can we support you get where you want to be? Um, so I just had to put that out there. Like this is a live moment. I'm
Yeah,
being extremely vulnerable and saying, hey, y'all, this is not. I'm like Lloyd. I saw one of his shows and he said, I don't do this for the likes. I don't do this for the money. I
yeah,
do this
yeah.
because I really care and I want to be a really good dispenser of the gift that God has given me. That echoed for me, so that's what made me call him to even get a reading because I was like, someone is out here, who was just saying, hey, I want to just share. This stuff has done wonders in my life. I gotta share. I got a testimony. I have something. The gospel. I have some good news that I want to share. So
Well, I think
just
you
want to put
said
that
it
out there.
well. You got love all over the place. I'm going to repeat all this love.
Hey,
Love Riley. She's a wellness practitioner. Please
yes,
call
yes.
her 415-849-1179. Her email is balancewithlove@gmail.com. Her IG is Balance with Love. Her website is Balance with Love. As I said, you said consistency is the key. You live it, okay? .com. And her Venmo, Love More at All Is Love. I know they sick
Yes.
of you, the haters, right?
You know what? I respect the haters, and they got their place. They got their place in this whole game of life, and I,
That's
I wouldn't I
interesting how
wouldn't
you
I
look
wouldn't
at
pluck them out.
that's interesting how you
I
look
want.
at
I mean, their energy is needed too.
and
We
maybe
all of us got a
they ought to
place.
stay more positive and more loving.
I mean, and can I just speak on that really quick?
Go right
This
ahead.
is why this is a awesome time. I'm asking all of y'all lovers out there who know that something is off, something ain't right in the atmosphere. I know that love sometimes can be thought of as a really as something that is really hard for us to surrender, but surrender to that calling within yourself to be more of who you are. Because right now the world is just needing us to just be naturally who we are. A lot of us don't realize that we're being microdosed with fear, doubt, worry, not enoughness,
I like how you
needing
put that
something
too. I
to
love how you,
validate us.
yeah.
Just your beingness is enough validation. Show up in your own life. It don't have to be something that you're going on the corner preaching and knocking it across people's head, but show up. May I empower you the way you empower me to show up in your own life, because right now we have an opportunity to do something dynamic, and together we will
Well,
really,
you
truly
can't do
excel.
any better than that. Now, what I'm going to do,
Yes.
I want you to hold on a second
Okay.
because I'm going to make some announcements for this week, a couple other things, and then I want you to sign off by whatever you would like to share with the viewers. Okay. So,
Definitely.
with that being said, I want to let you know that this week's show. Hold on, and I gotta thank Yana Van Zant for this. She is an amazing woman, and this show is brought to you by the R Spot Relationship Intensive. It's facilitated by Sister Yana Van Zant. This Saturday, March the 11th, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Learn to grow and heal and transform any relationship at the R Spot Intensive. That is this Saturday. And again, she is sponsoring the show for the entire week, for which I thank her very, very much. And we've known each other for decades, and it shows you why it's important to have meaningful, lasting relationships. This Wednesday, I'm going to have this young lady. Her name is Darlene Opo, excuse me, and she runs a bookstore for which I will be appearing on the 11th in Brooklyn, New York. All right. Today is one day only where my courses are on sale. If you wake up tomorrow, it's a wrap. You got to pay full price. You see them scratched out there. So take advantage of learning numbers, not numbers just how much money you can make, but the more esoteric, spiritual, ancient side of numbers that guide us in ways that you can't imagine. And for example, the best way to say is a GPS. Also, please sign up for my free monthly newsletter. Um, March is out. Today is only the 6th day, so y'all got plenty of days to get it in. Um, Also, my podcast is up and running. My audiobook is about ready. That should be out soon, and I'm happy to say that. But then again, please support this intensive R Spot relationship facilitated by Yana Van Zant, Saturday, March the 11th, from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And again, it's for the purpose of learning how to grow, how to heal, and how to transform any relationship. And I don't know anybody who can do it better than Sister Yana Van Zant. So if it sounds like I'm partial, you are absolutely right. I am partial. So give me a break, okay? Please spare me. We got to be partial. And I got to tell you this. This is Jackie Levine's book. I had her on a week ago. Last week, and this was her book. So I'm going to tell you, I got my book. Y'all got your book, and y'all can't borrow mine either. I do not loan out my books. Y'all need to get this. The book it's first of all, it's unique size. It's not the standard size book. So it's that in and of itself makes it a rarity among books. But you'd have to be in the books to know the value of what I'm trying to tell you. And this book it is so illustrated with, it's just amazing. I don't know how she did it. She probably get no sleep either, but it's okay. She did the work, and this is it. So I got mine. They're in a limited edition, and I'm saying I think y'all should get yours too. And there she is. Oops, there she is on the back. So I'm saying, please get your book. There are limited amounts, and as I said, y'all can't borrow mine. Okay. So anyway, let me go back. So Deanna Van Zant, who's sponsoring the show, thank you very much. Also, the podcast. Also, nope. Also, the newsletter, please pick that up. Today is a 1 day only sale. You catch this or forget it. You got to pay full price. If you want to, I don't mind. Okay. However, take a break, get a sale. And Wednesday, my guest will be Darlene Opo, who runs a Dane bookstore in Dumbo in the downtown section of Brooklyn. All righty. So now, without further ado, I want my guest to. All right, young lady, what say you to the world before you sign off?
I want to just first give a shout out to you and Miss Jacqueline Levine,
Yep.
taking y'all courses.
Really?
Well, I'm,
That's
I'm
nice.
taking, yeah, I downloaded the courses and I'm actually on course 2. So, hey, y'all, I'm out here doing the work. I just ordered the book and I'm going to order this book. So, both of you, the Queen and the King, shout out to you
Thank you.
both.
Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. Um, and I guess before we leave, before we step out, I just want to say thank you all for just having me today. It's just been such an honor, such a pleasure uh, to step out of my own personal comfort zone. And so I just thank you, Lloyd, for giving me the platform to do that. So before we leave, if you would just take this opportunity for us to breathe into our divineness and breathe into our greatness. All right. So if you're able to, just allow yourself to find a seat, even if where you're at, just allow yourself to cleanse through a deep exhale. I invite you, if you're able, to close your eyes. For those of you who may be driving in traffic, allow yourself to keep your eyes on the road, but just allow yourself to come into integration, come into one with your breath. So as you just feel that expansion, breathe in and breathe out. And I'm going to say this to you. May the longtime sun shine upon you. May the love surround you. And the purest love and the light within you, may it guide your way on. May it guide your way home. Together we can
I
participate in your
say,
unfolding. I
yeah,
believe in us.
yeah.
If you need any support, don't hesitate to hit me up and we can do this together.
And
Definitely.
again, this is her banner. Take a screenshot or take your cell phone, do something.
Yes.
So that way you got it. Or as soon as the show is over, you can see this on YouTube channel and things like that. But love more. Uh
Yes. Thank you, Lloyd.
no, thank
I
you. This was
appreciate you.
so enjoyable. And it's nice to talk about, pardon the pun, a loving subject, which is the power of love.
Hey, if you ever call me in, I'll be on that committee at all times on that board.
And I will have you back too. There's no question. There is no question.
Definitely.
And I thank
Perfect.
you very much.
Perfect. Enjoy
So
the rest of your night.
you too, you too. And let me tell you, how can people tune into your show?
Yeah,
Your
so what we have this month,
Yeah,
yeah, I
explain
do
it.
some I do something during the week, Tuesday through Friday. I call it Intervisions at noon, at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, where we just take time to take ourselves away from time, where we just breathe in and breathe out. It's about 5 minutes. And then I do a Sunday edition once a month where I bring on guests. And Lloyd has so graciously said yes to my
I did.
invitation, so
I
he'll
did.
be on. We take time to interview, as I shared with you, being a Kojic, a Church of God in Christ, a GPK. I believe in the power of testimonies and stories, and that has shown up for me with intervisions, where I interview so many folks, different folks who inspire me personally, and just want to tap into their story, different ways that they have said yes, and different ways that they are continuing to show up, even when it's hard and challenging. And so I like to share an interview because for me, as I take nuggets, we love to share. So as we can just continue to microdose this all year long. So join me there. And also check into me at my website. We'll have some connections where we'll be able to meet in person. And I plan to get one retreat up this year with y'all support and help. But we're going to do something real fabulous, fancy, and full of love. Full of love.
And my only regret was I wasn't able to meet you when you were here briefly in New York City for a couple of days to come so far, but it was kind of crazy. But let me tell you this, meeting you like this was even more worth it too. And it's an honor and a pleasure too. All righty.
Such a pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you
Roger,
much.
I'll definitely be in touch.
Please do. Please do. And everybody, I want to thank you very, very much for joining us. As you see, my special guest is Love Rainey, our wellness practitioner, and an excellent woman. She would be the ambassador of love. If I had to give somebody the ambassador of love, it would be this lady. So please call her. Please email her. Please go to her IG, her website, and show her some love at Venmo, please. Thank you. All righty. So everybody, I want to thank you very much. This has been a fun day for me. I enjoy all my shows, to be very honest. And I'm going to have other guests. And don't forget, in fact, this Wednesday is another new guest, one we've never seen before. Her name is Darlene. She is a sharp sister, but a whole lot of people that come on this show are very sharp, believe me. And the whole purpose is so they can raise your awareness so you can be better individuals to yourselves, your loved ones, and people in life in general. I know that sounds like too much to ask, but believe me, it's not that complicated. All righty. So everybody, I want you all to have a very nice day. I will see you in a matter of days. Okay. Bye now.